they have a music violation I have to watch. Alrighty. Calendula oil, yarrow oil, and lastly, dandelion. Which I have over here because it's freshly made. Oh, I've got some shea butter here. Would you leave those alone? They're not for you. You are addicted to olive oil. I've concluded that. Empty containers, and my dog's trying to open them. So this is freshly infused dandelion olive oil. I only needed a little to make up the rest of the amount I needed. A little olive oil goes a long way, because if you have too much olive oil, you can be in some pretty liquefying salves if you don't measure out your beeswax properly according to your olive oil base, or really kind of any oil base that you have. So that fills my pot. This pot, I have it on my link tree, and I truly love it because I've not found another one like it. And I'm going to tell you why I like this pot so much, and I'm going to try to get my live on my phone so I can read comments. But I like this pot so much because there's a spout over here, if you can see it on the camera up there. This spout is connected to the bottom of the bucket, so when I have it tilted, like this thing is already tilted, I don't have to scrape the bowl. The heat goes ahead and forces the oil to the spout, and it literally empties itself. Versus, I've purchased 2 other wax melters, and they have a hole in the middle of the pot that it goes down to that spigot, but it's not narrowed down, it's just flat. It's like, really, you have to scrape it to get it down into the middle, and it's annoying. So I purposely like this pot, and I keep using this pot because, 1, my husband has submerged it in water and it still works. 2, the spout on it is excellent. I have not had a single leak. 3, you can control the temperature. It is easy to do inside, outside, or wherever. You can even make soup in this thing if you wanted to. It is really nice. Alrighty, so Karen, I see your comment. What are you making? We are making Dandelion Yarrow Calendula salve because I have sold out of the 2-ounce jars. So I got some boxes here of the jars, and I got one out that I can show you. Actually, I'm a visualizer, so if I can see things, it makes more sense. So these are the cute little jars that we have, and we do have lids. I just have 2 jars in here without lids. So that is what we're going to be filling today. And these just came out of my garage. So they are very, very cold, which is not good. You do not want to mix cold ice glass with hot, hot liquid. So we're going to move these over on top of a vent area. Alrighty, now I gotta go turn my furnace up. Because it's not running right now. That's okay, we like heat. Okay. Good thing I looked at it because my furnace even turned out even more. Alrighty. Absolutely. Usually I'm looking directly at the phone that I have my live on, so that's typically what I look at. We're also going to attempt something new today, and I was kind of leery of actually showing a video of it. So All the recipes that I use for my salves are in all my books. Dandelion Magic, Calendula Magic, Yarrow Magic. You can make this exact salve. It is in that book, and it will show you how to do every step, infusing your oils, and etc, etc. So this is the pot that I'm using. Right now we have infused oils in here, all Dandelion Yarrow Calendula, because it's a whole mix. It is equally balanced out. All of them are infused in olive oil. Then we have the beeswax, the shea butter, and the essential oils aren't even in here yet. You do not want to put in your essential oils with everything while it's melting, because the heat is not its friend. I have done enough studying that essential oils is like comparing it to cooking on the stove. If you're going to use oil on the stove, you really want to add it in last if you want to have that flavor from it or scent, because if not, you're just going to cook it right out, is the best way to put it. And that's why I'm very particular about my batches and making sure I add in the essential oils at the end. And I'm sure there's a few people that are going to watch this and go, Sarah, you do it at the end so it's the most potent. That stuff's got to smell so bad. And I say that because I've had a lot of men in my life hate smells. And it doesn't smell bad. I actually have had men comment on my salves, women comment on them, that it doesn't smell horrible. It just smells light, unique, not overpowering, but enough to be able to bring you a relaxation scent, because lavender brings on that relaxation. And spearmint helps to keep away the bugs. And since I have a spearmint that is homemade here in Michigan, and it is very, very potent, I use very, very little. So another thing is, if you were a veterinarian, which I have a friend that's a veterinarian, and I actually sat down with her one day, I said, I got a question for you. My salves have these essential oils in them. What does that mean for dogs? Dogs should not have essential oils, especially lavender and spearmint. There are two of them on the list that dogs should not be ingesting. Now, none of my salves should be ingested, but we all know dogs like to eat random things, lick our skin, etc. Especially with kids, they like to help eat themselves. So with that being said, I asked her, I said, with this having the essential oils in it, and if a dog eats it, what is the worst scenario that's going to happen? Now granted, I've already had a dog eat this and she was completely fine. But as for a veterinarian aspect, she flat out told me, she said, you need to take your dog to the vet and get it looked at. I said, well, let me put it into a different perspective for you, because I didn't tell her the amount that was in my salves. I just said, this is in my salves and I'd like your feedback on it in regards to dog safety. And so I went down the list of exactly how much essential oils is in a whole big size batch, and I narrowed it all the way down to as many drops that I put in. And she messaged me back and goes, you use that little? I was like, yeah, it is very, very minor. I don't overpower my things with essential oils, because I personally don't want to go to bed smelling it for the next week. I like it to be able to smell on my skin, to last for a few minutes, and not to bother the people around me, especially since there's a lot of people nowadays that are allergic. So I keep that in mind when I do all this. And she goes, with that, my minimal amount of essential oils, it won't hurt a dog. That's minor. It's not even worth discussing at that point, because you use so minor that it isn't even going to hurt the dog. Now, my dog had previously, 2 years before this conversation, ended up eating a full 4-ounce jar of Dandelion Yarrow Calendula salve off of my countertop. And I'm not kidding. She actually got on my bathroom. Corgis are mischievous. You can't see her, but she's laying there. But I had a different corgi at the time, and she would eat anything and everything that was open, and she managed to crawl onto my toilet, onto my countertop, and she was literally eating my salves on the counter. It was like, okay, I guess I have to child-proof everything, because I left it open for my 4-year-old to be able to go in and use, because I don't like to use Band-Aids in my house. In my house, if someone's got a boo-boo, the first thing out of all of our mouths is, where's the salve? Because we know it helps so much tremendously with wounds and boo-boos, and it's something they can apply themselves, makes them feel confident and good about themselves, and that's what I like about my salves, is having it here for everybody to enjoy. So, with that being said, this is going to take a hot minute to go ahead and boil down and And what I mean boil down is everything has to melt and become one. And I did not bring in my wooden sticks, so I have to grab one of those because I do like to mix it, even though I don't have to, but I like to make sure everything's consistently getting mixed, make sure it's fully mixed before we do anything else. And the new thing that we are going to do today is I'm going to make samples out of this hot batch, because usually I fill up a big jar. Do I have a jar in here that I can grab? I'd rather show you guys the visual without breaking everything. Ugh, I got a plastic container over here to keep my samples in. So, for an example, when I made dandelion salve, I put it in a jar like this. This is a huge, huge jar. 16 ounces, I think. 300 milligrams, higher than that. On this side is, it's at least, that's 1 cup there, so about 2 cups at least in here. That's larger than my 4-ounce salves. So I personally have made salves, had extra, didn't have jars, or I purposely made a batch and I put it in these jars so I can scoop out samples. And I don't want to have to put it in a jar, wait for it to cool, and then transfer it into these wonderful things. And these are called, I call them Miller bags. Vacuum sealer wrapping, I guess. 2,000 pack, 2 by 2.8 inches, 1 GS vacuum seal wraps. I call them Miller bags because they're food grade, they're meant to be sealed. I'll just come right up there. These are really teeny tiny, and this is the sample bags that we use. So, you can find this, Maria. This is, Mariah. I'm sorry, I'm horrible with names. This is on my link tree. You can buy the whole bag. I have a 2,000 pack on there. They do have smaller packs of these, so you don't have to get a 2,000 pack. But that's where I get them. I have them posted on my link tree so you can find them. And it has been a lifesaver. So this is the biggest pack you can get. And I'm not kidding you, this is a 2,000 pack. It's nice and thick. There's 500, I think, in each one of these, roughly. I can almost guarantee you they don't count them because every single time I think I'm counting them, they're never right. So I've given up on that. I do need to go grab a wooden stick. I'll be right back. And some of you are like, oh, she's grabbing a big wooden stick and I'm grabbing a spork or whatever you do when you cook meats and you put them on the stick with veggies or whatever, you cook them on the grill. Yeah, I go to the cooking section and I buy these because I just need something to spin it. I don't need something large and gulpy to go ahead and get everything stuck to it. And my favorite part is I can throw it away or I can throw it in my bonfire. So I'm not contributing to waste. So I am currently waiting for a new sealer to come in because as for the entire time that I've done this, I've used my iron to close my samples. And I figured it's about time that I try a actual sealer that is hand mobile, battery charged, that we're going to try to go ahead and make our samples with now and seal them. And I'm kind of hoping that they don't pop as easy in the mail, but again, we never know with the mail, even though I pay for them not to go through the machine, it's what it is. So since I can see you on here, if you don't know where my link tree is, I will comment it. Reply. Paste. There you go. I went ahead and sent you a direct link for the salve sample baggies if you wanted to get those. So it takes a hot minute. I have it about at 110. I guess I actually have that hotter. I'm looking at the C. I always put it at 110 C's. I never realized that was Celsius, not Fahrenheit. Either way, it has to warm up and melt and join together, so it's not like I'm putting it in here and boiling it. This thing heats up nice and fast, and the heat is on the bottom, but it works its way up the sides really easy. This is not a pot I would have around kids because they touch it and they will get burned by it. So since I don't have kids here, I can do this on the kitchen table. Usually I don't ever do this on the kitchen table because of safety precautions. It's way too easy for someone to come up and bump the table, and I have to watch that when my hubby comes back because we both are known to bump the table. And usually I do it on the counter over there because it's up higher and I can move it and I can get it plugged in and it's in a safe spot that it can cool down. And in the summertime, I actually do this out in my garage because my kids like to play outside, and this is something I can do in my free time. While they're playing, I can be making salves and watching this and walking around. And of course, enjoying the weather. So, it's one of the plus sides. I'm hoping one day I can actually get a she shed, so I can do all of this in the shed and have windows and a nice big play set outside. If I have the property, that is. The house that I have now doesn't have the property. But we all can dream. And that's my dream, is one day to be able to work and have my kids play and enjoy life. Because I enjoy making this stuff. This stuff I find relaxing to make. It's just part of my normal. Alrighty, I gotta bring this plate back over because I got a stick and I don't want it all over my table. I know, it's the most boring process and it's not food. It doesn't smell good, does it? You're actually laying on the floor. Usually my corgi is a year-old, and usually she's right by me with everything, and she's looking at me like, Mom, this is boring. This is taking forever. I'm not happy. And I just watched a car go sideways past my house, and I'm not kidding you. They were sideways. Instead of straight, they were going sideways. The joys of Michigan driving and having icy roads. You want to learn how to drive? Come to Michigan, because you can do lots of donuts. Okay, we're gonna take you out because I don't want you in there. Had a chunk of calendula flower in there. We got a few petals of dandelion, but I don't like chunks too much in here. I'm very particular. There's another one stuck to this. And they flow up to the top, so they're kind of easy to get out. I'll show you this one. So this is when I infuse the olive oil that you get these chunks. And this could be a seed, honestly. I'm not entirely sure. I just know that which batch it came from, and it's calendula. And if I could pull out the chunks, I will. But most of the time I leave them in there because it's part of the salve. It's just part of the herbs. And it makes it more powerful, more potent, because considering it's stuck in there and it gets made in with the salves. If I have dandelion chunks in there, for me, I leave them in there because I feel it makes the salve stronger. And if I come across them, then I will... That's the part I won't use on my face because I don't like feeling chunks on my face, but I will use it on my body, on my feet, on my hands, because I know I can wipe things off, grab a paper towel, wipe off chunks, and just go right back to work. And it's just something I've gotten used to. I don't overpower my olive oils with herbs because my infusers block most of it. It helps to keep them clean, see through. I can even grab one here. This is dandelion. The bottom is still frozen. We're melting my olive oil in the house because I knew I needed to make a batch, but you can't do it with frozen olive oil. You can see how clear this olive oil is. It doesn't even look like infused olive oil, but I write dandy on it because it's dandelion olive oil. And the bottom is still frozen, but you can tell there's some residue in there. If you can on the camera, I'm not sure. But I filter out a lot of those chunks, a lot of the stuff that you wouldn't want stuck in there. Because when you infuse olive oil, when I did it at first at home, I did it the old-fashioned school way. And that was like, this is a great example. Take a whole jar, not including my plastic baggie in there, because that's what it came in. This is dandelion root. And if you were to infuse olive oil with this herb, you would want half full of the herbs, which is what this is right now, and fill the whole thing up with olive oil. And you want like no headspace, because air and water are your two worst enemies when you're infusing olive oils. So this whole jar would get filled up, sit in a crock pot with water for a week in my house on the counter. Just sit on the counter, and every day I would fill the crock pot up because it would burn that water up, and I'd have to fill it back up. You don't ever want that crock pot to be empty. And you keep it at 100 degrees for 7 days. After that 7 days, you now have to pour this out. And that means all the herbs with it, because you have to squeeze the herbs because they're fully infused, where in my level machine, they're in a little container where I can just push them down in there and they're fine. And honestly, I'm so lazy, I don't even do that. I let them drip for like an hour before I finally be like, okay, we're tossing them, and I'll clean them and start the next batch because I have another set to go. But this one, you have to put this in a cotton cloth, have it over a container, strain it into that container, and then whatever, usually I put it into a bowl because I have a strainer with a cotton cloth in it, and you fill that all up, you pick up the cotton cloth, you squeeze it out, throw out the herbs, then you have to clean the cotton cloth. I didn't like that because after a while my cotton cloth smelled like crayon. Olive oil and cotton cloths, I haven't figured that out. So, being that I stepped away from the crock pot method and went to the level machines, I've not had to worry about cotton cloths and all that. It's been a nice change, and on top of it, infusing oils at home is one thing, but changing directions entirely is a blessing in itself. It really is. Because you don't have as much work. This level machine doesn't take 7 days. It takes 5 hours. So we have a level machine. It takes 5 hours to make a batch. And within that 5 hours, your batch is completely done. It has been set at 165 degrees, which is even higher than the crock pot set for a week, which also means your herbs were able to extract more essential oils and benefits out of the herbs into the oil, making your oils even more potent. So I have discovered, since I switched my methods, my salves have massively gotten bigger and better because I am watching them more closely. I am engaged with everything. I promise this is a clean sweater and it's got lint all over. I just took it out of my closet. Where's the lint roller? Beep beep, beep beep, beep 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 beep. No, okay. So I hate lint rollers. I purposely bought a lint roller that you could wash, but I hate waiting for it to dry. You want to stick to you? I can stick it to you. Oh, there we go. That's a little better. It's been like a year since I pulled out a lint roller, so I have no idea what happened in my washer, but we're dealing with it. And since I already have everything out, I'm literally waiting for the jars to warm up. I have my baggies ready. The only thing that I'm debating on is if I'm going to use a turkey baster or I want to say it's a syringe. It's like for medicine that you'd fill up and squirt into someone's mouth. And I have those for my kids all the time to do medicine. But I'm debating on using one of those to fill up my little packets. Since this is going to be liquefied, I typically don't do samples liquefying. And there's a reason for that. Sean, hello. If I wanted to purchase dandelions to begin making my own, do you have any recommendations to a reputable company to purchase some from? That is a big question. So I don't purchase dandelions. I pick my own. I go out in the field that I know has been 100% safe and organic, and I pick them for all my products. I don't buy dandelions from people. But there are certain times that I will, and it's not because I'm out of stock. It's because I want to be 1000% even more sure. So I'm going to kind of explain that for you. And one of them I've actually already showed you because I don't pick dandelion roots. Okay, I'm done with my lip color. Yeah, now I look down too much. My nose is running. What? You're looking at me like what? dandelions from a reputable company is highly important. You don't just want to go on Etsy and buy something because somebody literally could have picked them up from the side of the road. You don't know any of the information about where it came from or what it's about. And that's one of the things that I like to know, where everything comes from and the process it's gone through. So there are a few different factors into it. A lot of people call things organic, but if you actually look into their background, it may not be 100% organic. Now, I also know you can only dig so far into realizing what a company does and everything, and that's why I try to put out there everything that I do in my company with everything I find. And with that, I have 2 items here that I don't pick. This is something I purchased, and the reason because I wanted to attempt to make dandelion supplements, and I didn't want to just throw in the ones that I picked from the field, because I have a big batch that I picked from the field, but I didn't pick the grass out from it, if that makes any sense. I feel it's safe for infusing oils into my salves and my soaps because it's not being ingested. And a little bit of grass isn't going to hurt you. So I was like, you know what? If I was going to a supplement company, they got to be like 1000% sure that there's not any grass mixed in with it and such. So I have discovered they don't really care. And there's a reason behind I knowing that. And you don't really know until you purchase things and you try them yourself. So I'm coming around the other side of the table, so I'm over here now. Move this chair out of my way. Okay, so this is dandelion root. I bought this off of fair.com from a company, and I have the baggie in the jar with it because it was full, but I couldn't put it in the jar. And I believe in keeping documentations with my stuff so I know exactly what it is, so you never confuse. If you pick something, make sure you label it. Never leave it unlabeled. If you purchase something, make sure you put it in a jar that's labeled. Don't leave it, ever. So this is the Dandelion Root Company that I purchased it from. And this company, I've only purchased once from them, and they've lasted me a long time because I don't use it a lot. I purposely put this in my dandelion tea. So you're actually getting organic picked dandelion root, and it's been washed, cleaned, and it's set to go. And I purposely do that because I don't pick dandelion roots myself. I've tried. You have to go through a whole cleaning process. You have to cut them up. You have to dry them. And drying dandelion roots is very, very hard. Even these ones are not 100% dry. Like, they look dry, but I tried munching them up to put them into supplements, and it just clogged my whole machine. It turned way bad. I'll just put it that way. I tried it 3 different times, and nope, not gonna doing it again. So dandelion heads are one thing that I've not been able to find very well online. And I purposely look at them because of kind of what people charge and such. So this is the company I found on Amazon. And this is a dandelion leaf. It's an actual gallon bucket. I like the bucket. So this is one that I purposely use this and the roots to create our dandelion teas. And I purposely got this one for the supplements, and this worked out really well for making dandelion leaf supplements. And it ground up really nicely. And we're about to make dandelion tea again. And I was so hyper aware of grasping and everything. And they have this munched up, and if you've done this long enough, you kind of know what things look like. So this is dandelion root. This is all very fine, and I don't know if I can turn my hand for you, but this is very fine cut dandelion root, dandelion leaf, goofball. And looking in here, I could tell you a lot of it is dandelion leaf, but I come across other sections in here, and it's very hard to distinguish grass from a leaf. It is. They look identical because they're green, and it's the way they shrivel up. And I have freeze-dried so many that it's very easy to question, like, dandelion roots don't typically have the stems attached to them, and it's kind of hard to identify, like this piece right here. So when I come up with pieces like this makes me think it's grass. And now I'm not gonna have it go get tested or verified or question them, but I was like, well, if that's the case, if they're not being 1000% thorough about grass, then I'm not gonna worry too much, because grass isn't gonna hurt you either. Grass is another supplement. It's a grain. It's part of our everyday. For Pete's sakes, the animals eat it. It's natural. Now, granted, it also depends on where you pick everything, but I hope that answers your question on where to go find dandelion stuff, because these are two options that I've tried and I've not had a problem with them. And personally, I like the bucket. I purposely want to empty it just to use the bucket. I'm a bucketaholic. I've been that way as a kid. If it's a teeny tiny bucket, I'll take it out of the trash because I like it so much. I'm just weird. So, if you're wondering what my dandelions look like, this is from 2023, like 5-6 batches of dandelions that I did at once. And this is a 5-gallon bag. So, in here, I'll open it up. Okay. Got lots of fluff coming up, which is typical. All these are freeze dried. These are my dandelions. You have the stems, you have the flower heads, you got seed heads, you got leaves, you got some grass in there. Let's see if I can do this without making too big of a mess. So, if that's any consolation, that's what mine look like. I literally freeze dry them as though I just picked them out of the field, and I put them in here. So this is what I'm infusing my olive oils in, what I've been using, and I have dandelion fluff in my mouth now. So that's what I use. I don't purposely sell my dandelions because, well, first off, I'm only a 6-year-old company. So all of my inventory that I have had, I'm trying to keep to make sure I can keep up with supply and demand. Once I know that I can keep up with supply and demand, like I've been using, obviously this is from 2023. We picked 55 gallons that year, and I'm still working through them, and every year we go out and pick more, and I add to the batch, and I add, and I add, and I add. But eventually, I will also have my dandelions for sale as well for those that are interested in wanting to do it at home. So, and if I have people purposely emailing me and asking me for some, I'm more than happy to back up a good handful and mail it to you. I don't really have a problem with it. It's something we do every year. I have people come out and help me all the time. Will I charge you for it? Yes, because it's been in my inventory and my stock, and I have to charge for it because this is what makes my company work. But you can come out to our dandelion collecting that we do every year in the spring, and you can take home the dandelions you collect. And this way you know the dandelions are natural and safe. And you get to learn about the tools that we use to pick them, because we don't pick by hand. We do the plucking by hand, but we don't pick dandelions by hand. We actually have dandelion pickers, and we let people borrow these tools to be able to go out and actually use the tools. And they get to sit down with us, have a conversation, get to know the plants, kind of get to know the area. And if I'm being honest, I purposely would like to go ahead and raise enough money to purchase a property that is big enough. It could have a pond on it. I'd love to have a pond. Put a big gazebo on it, but have a lot of room for people to come in and camp for a week, but also have a giant field that people can go and collect herbs from, especially dandelions in the spring. And if you're a herbalist, you know that certain herbs pop up the year at a certain time. So when dandelions are going out, yarrow's coming in. When dandelions are going out, red clover is coming in. So you can have multiple different herbs in this field that will pop up that you can actually make seasons out of. I don't believe in having a greenhouse with, oh, look at me, I have all these dandelions in a row and there's no grass whatsoever, no contamination. Oh, what did you do? You just grew it in a greenhouse which is covered by plastic or windows. You've had to water it. You've had to take care of it. You've had to control the temperature, because dandelions do not just pop up because you planted a seed. I promise you that. They have to go through a cold cycle in order for them to pop up. And yes, they do pop up in the summer from the spring. And that's because here in Michigan, we have temperatures that do this. Wait 5 minutes, temperature will change. That's just our rule of thumb here. And dandelions are particular. That's why we have them come up 2 weeks out of the year in the spring in a big, big area of dandelions, because they are all coming out of dormant at the same time. Versus In the summer, they just pop up randomly because that's their dormant time of the seed that finally grew enough to where it's like, oh, now I have to activate. And since I don't collect roots, I'm actually relying on these plants coming back up every single year with a new dandelion head, so I can actually interact with it, pick it, and come back the next year and go. And the reason I do that is because I'm not here to kill the plant. I'm here to take and be thankful for it and leave it there and give back, because where I usually pick, there's cattle. I know that a lot of things are more organic where the horses are, the cattle are, especially if that person sells the meat from them, and they are very coherent and conscious of what they're feeding them, what is around them, do they drive out there, do they not drive out there, etc. They know their land because they're farmers. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is lavender. This is Dutch lavender, I guess, or lavender Dutch. I purchased this off of Amazon. If you're interested in this, I can get the link on my link tree for it. I don't think I have it on there. But this is the jar that I have that I've used forever because I've tried to get a hold of people locally here in Michigan that make lavender oils, and they want to charge me an arm and a leg, and just not there. Honey, I can't open it.
It's sealed.
Which is good. I'm pretty sure that self-seals itself every time.
It's not letting go.
No, it's not. So the jar we're trying to open now is the spearmint oil, and I purposely put it in a jelly jar because I like to keep the other jar closed unless I'm filling this jar. And I've only had to refill this jar because I only put a little amount in the jelly jar. I don't even fill the whole thing up because this stuff is so potent. And every time I go to use it, if I'm making a batch after batch after batch, I do not tighten that lid. This stuff will just boom that lid. So eventually I will change the jars, but I like keeping it in glass. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So these are just things that I've had around the house, and now I am going to tighten it and close it because I'm not opening it again. I'm not planning to make another batch. So this is something I was given for free when I had my kids, and I had like 10 of these. And I've just kept it around and used it. It's a little syringe plastic thing, but I only use it to put it in there so it doesn't get stored with it. It gets stored separately. So, I'm gonna put this away. I always have my cheat sheet book that I make because I mapped out bulk batches in there so I can quickly look at my numbers and be like, okay, this. Hello, I see you're hard at work. Yes, I am, Tammy. And we're gonna try something new today that I have no idea how this is gonna go. So the question is, what do I want to use from my kitchen to make my samples with today? And this is to transfer it into the little baggies. Did you hide your turkey baster?
Part of it. There's 2 parts. The other part should be in there. Move it too much, you won't be able to close it.
I can just drop the whole drawer. Oh, I see it. I got it. Yeah, if I already can't close it. Okay, so there's that option. We're experimenting today. Because that's just something I love to do. Okay, we have a turkey baster. I have a feeling this will be a fail, but we're gonna try it. Because typically I don't do hot salves going into the baggies. Does that need to go in one more? Or is that, I think side. Okay. And okay, which one of these is the one I can't read? That's big. Okay, that one you can read. That one's gonna stay. Myers, you're the most. I'm saying Myers because it's on the thingamajig that I have in my hand. That does not fit. Aha! There we go. Okay, we have two options. So it's either this is going to be too hot to the fact that it's going to melt the plastic, because both of these are plastic. I was thinking one of them is metal. Or this will work out really well. We're just going to find out. Because I'm still waiting for my drawers to warm up. My head gets out here. It's okay. I got it. We're good. He helps clean up after me, which is amazing because I tend to be sporadically all over. I got some. Ella, you just made me jump because I could hear you licking the water and I thought the pot was dripping. So there is a lot of tallow on the outside of my pot from previous tallow batches, so I'm just wiping that off because it's irritating me. And I like to be kind of clean, so I'll get this cleaned up, and then we'll see how this goes. I'm kind of nervous because I've not done this. You look there. I don't need you. Okay, we gotta mix it because I put essential oils in here. Let's mix it. Temperature Fahrenheit is gonna go down to, we'll do 120, I guess, or 125, something like that. Just so this stays warm, but it's not over hot. Because right now it's at like 200. And I do that because you want everything to melt. And I can tell you one thing, when it's all melted, you can see all the petals in here. I see dandelion petals, I see calendula petals, like a lot more calendula petals than dandelion. But that's because those flowers break up pretty easy in the infusion process. So, if I could move the phone and bring it over and show you, I would, but that's gonna shake your world. And some people get motion sick, and I don't want to sicken anybody. Do you guys want to see what inside my pot looks like? So, Tammy, this is Dandelion Yarrow Calendula salve. We have everything in here perfectly melted. It is now ready to be jarred. So, if you guys want to see the inside, I can pick up the phone real quick. I have a hunch this is going to blow, but we'll find out. Okay, moving the phone. So you can see the petals kind of down there in the bottom. Since I'm not mixing it at the moment, they're just settled down on the bottom. But we have some air bubbles up here on the top, and then you can see the petal. There's one dandelion petal floating there because it's lightweight, but the calendula ones all just sunk to the bottom. So that is what we're dealing with there. And I lost the slipper. There you go. Okay. Now the real magic begins because I have no idea how this is going to go, and I really don't like setting it there. Okay. That's mine. Move you over there. These are the baggies. I don't need you. Feel more safer like that because now you're not going to melt my tablecloth. So I have these little teeny tiny scoops if I'm doing a sample making in the hard form salves into these little baggies because it's easier to scoop them because I don't want to contaminate it by touching it or anything, so I do have spoons for that. I call them a little scraper, and these are pretty nifty. So I just keep them around for that reason. And this is the basket we'll put the finished ones in. There. Okay. So let's make sure all these are facing the right way because sometimes they're backwards. So if you have not purchased a sample with me, this is something you don't do if you have slippery hands. Because if you can see, one side's clear, one side is not. This is not the clear side, but that's the clear side. You can kind of see. So, it is very tricky to get them open. I'm the only one so far that my aunt's 80 years old, my husband and my aunt both can't get these open. So this is something that I have to make myself, which is okay. I don't mind it. Okay, we're gonna give the turkey baster a try, because we all know turkey basters are meant to handle heat. Yeah, that's not gonna work because it's literally funneling right back out. Yeah. Even if I keep suction texture. Okay, let's try this. It just continues. It doesn't matter if I hold the tension or not, it just runs out.
What are you trying to do?
So I don't think the turkey baster will work unless it's a smaller hole. Okay, well, it's not one shot. Sorry, that's gonna be a mess to clean out. Okay, now if this melts, I have like 50 of these, so if this melts, it's okay. Okay. Got a hard suction on it, that's for sure. Now I know the bags are meant to be able to handle heat. Okay. I did not like that experience whatsoever. Jeez. That one's a no. You know, even giving that to my kid, no. I'm not shooting them with that. Okay, washing my hands. Try again. This is why I don't do hot liquid samples, because this is usually a mess and I have not figured out a way to do it. If you have an idea, I'm open. No? Okay. Alright, back over here to square one. We're going to do the mini one. Okay. One. Make sure I can slowly squeeze this one down, and I can. Okay. So we are making Dandelion Yarrow Calendula samples before I fill jars, because I'm waiting for them to warm up. So we're going to fill this up with some nice hot salve. Alright, there, we got a winner. Boom, that one's done. Usually I don't seal them at the same time as I fill them, but figured why not? They're nice and warm, I will say that. Okay, so now that I've done two, I'll show you guys kind of what I'm looking at. I'm heat sealing them with my straightener. So you can see the liquid, right? Watch, I'm gonna squeeze it. Even if I have it upside down, it's not gonna leak. This is how I make my samples. If they leak in the mail, it's literally because the post office squished these so bad. It's not because of the way I do them, I swear. Because I truly try to make it so they're as thin as possible, but you're still getting to try it. Okay. Usually I have salve residue that could be squeezing out, and there's nothing on there. Okay, the syringe is now empty. Okay, got that filled back up again. open, and then I watch the liquid as the bag closes, and I try to seal it where I know I can try to get as little air in there as possible, but I also have to be cautious because it could just squeeze the liquid right up and out. I'll give you that because I'm done with this one. Thank you to my handsome man who's doing my dishes for me. Okay. And now we're just going to continue on. This could get boring, but this is what we do to make samples. So this iron is turned on all the way on high. Mind you, they do actually make machines that heat seal and everything, and I'm not using that today. I have one coming in the mail though. And I can tell you that salve is hot because it's making that baggie hot. So you may be wondering, okay, how many more of these are you going to do? A lot. Because I'm out of samples. And when you have 100 people a day requesting samples and like 70% of them request this salve, yeah, it tends to add up pretty fast. And this is a salve that I typically do not have samples of, so this is a special one that I'm doing just for everybody to try. Honestly, it's one of my favorites. So if you're wondering what it kind of looks like in the baggie liquefied, that's what you're looking at. I'm holding it open, and then when you close it, that's how I know where to put the heat because it squeezes up and some of that jumped out. So it's not very easy to show you on camera, but I try. Okay. So this method works using a syringe. I think that's what these are called. I'm filling them little by little. So while I'm standing here, I can kind of go over the benefits, because I'm sure. Alrighty, is that whole pot for samples? If so, that's a lot. So I ended up making 4 batches in this pot. And I have jars to fill because I'm out of the 2 ounces. And those boxes are back there warming up. I'm heating them. So, no, this whole pot is not for samples. I can make a lot of samples out of a pot like this, like a tremendous amount, which I don't need. But there is probably 2 batches in here, at least 4 samples. So half the pot's for samples, I would say. And typically, if I'm making a lot of batches and I know I have to make samples, I'll make a big batch, fill up my jars, and whatever is left over at the end, if I don't want to open up another box or something, I'll literally just fill up a big jar like I showed everybody earlier, where I will fill up random things from batches if I don't have jars for them so I can make samples. This is all dandelion. I always have dandelion sap, which is why I have a ton of samplage of it, so I can automatically make samples. For example, this is the jar I'm working in right now that I've been scraping out of it. This is dandelion salve. And no, it's not labeled, and that's bad, but I know exactly which salves I have, because I only do dandelion tallow and dandelion beeswax samples. So when I'm making these other ones, I have it hands-on. I'm doing them right there. This is the tallow. This was half full when I made it. I have a whole full one of these in the garage. And this is salve that is ready to be used. And I've made probably 300 samples of this, and I'm already ran out. So I'm going to be scooping this one out of the hard stuff myself later. I don't know if I'll be on live for that one, but this one is just scooping and filling, scooping and filling. I might try to heat it up, but you have to be precautious when you heat salves up again, because if you overheat them or get them to a boil, you can really damage the herbs and damage the benefits. You really have to be precautionary, which is why I turned this thing down to a low setting. So I'm not harming the herbs. It's going to keep it warm, so it's not going to get hard, but it's going to keep it warm enough that I can still function with it. I feel like a doctor over here. Where's Dr. Audrey when we need her? My daughter likes to play pretend doctor. So these bags heat seal pretty fast. Even though the salve's hot, it's not gonna make them seal themselves. And honestly, it's not too hot where I can't touch it, and I can touch it. So the salve is great for aches, pains, bruises, sores, arthritis, all natural first aid, stops bleeding, helps get rid of inflammation, redness, irritation on the skin, bug bites. It really helps with a lot. But having all of these in one, it's really a nice salve, which is why we are going to create a, see, I already went, no, never mind, I'm blind. So the salve helps tremendously. I ended up actually making this salve for my own self personally, because I ended up pregnant with my second daughter, Audrey, and I did not want to have stretch marks. Jumped up on my finger. So I ended up looking at a whole bunch of different creams and such for stretch marks, for belly rubbing stuff, and every single one of them had calendula, but had like the same basis of my salve. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna make my own. And I did. I didn't get a single stretch mark from that pregnancy. And I absolutely loved it. And so many other people had loved it because I made it for a limited time and kept it with my salves, that people continued to ask me for it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to keep this in stock. And at first, people just liked the dandelion, and then my grandmother requested yarrow because it stops bleeding on contact. And those two herbs, dandelion and yarrow, are amazing, but nobody wants to buy 1 jar dandelion, 1 jar yarrow, just to have the benefits of both of them. So I put them both together in dandelion yarrow. So you can get the arthritis taken care of. You can get this bleeding to stop, especially if you're on blood thinners. That's one of the amazing benefits of it. So there are a lot of benefits in the salves, and I actually have a book that lists a ton of the benefits that I don't have in here today, because there's so many. I will mispronunciate a lot of things because I'm dyslexic, and I have tried to pronunciate some of them specifically for videos, and if I gave you the bloopers, you would laugh. But I try. I truly do try. So I've always been bad with names and bad with certain words. It's just the way that I am. So I've learned apologize and just keep trying. And knowing what I have customers come up to my booth all the time and be like, well, I have this. And I just look at them and I'm like, well, I'm not a doctor. I don't know entirely what that means. So you can comment below, well, I have this. Sometimes I have to go Google what you are talking about in order for me to answer it, because I'm not a doctor. I'm not medically a diagnosis to be able to tell you what will do, what this won't do, and if you will benefit from it 100%, because I cannot medically diagnose you as a herbalist. I am not licensed for that. But what I can do, which is what I've been doing with all my customers that come up to my booth, and they go, well, I have arthritis, or I have eczema. Those are two that I'm very, very familiar with, that I've been asked about. And for every person, I stop and I ask them, in regards to what you just said, what are your symptoms? The symptoms is what I can resonate with to know what's going to help you the best. If you're on blood thinners and you can't stop bleeding, obviously you need something with yarrow. If you're dealing with arthritis pain, you're going to need something with dandelion. If you got irritated skin, sensitive skin, I probably recommend going with the 3-mix Dandelion Yarrow Calendula because it helps with irritated skin. All of my salves help with irritated skin, especially with the beeswax, the shea butter. It helps moisturize. In a sense, beeswax is an all-natural Band-Aid, in my opinion. In the old days, I'm pretty sure that's what they used as Band-Aids. You're being a little tricky. So if you're wondering, wow, sir, you're making a lot of samples. Yeah, imagine me in bed at night for 3 hours straight doing this. Not labeling anything, just filling them for an hour, putting them in the basket in a row, then coming back with my heating iron, closing them all, and then I have to spend another hour labeling them all before I have all the samples. It's a time process, and if you don't get them labeled, you cannot tell them apart. So, like, let's say I'm sitting in bed and I need to make Dandelion Yarrow Calendula salve, and I need to make dandelion salve samples. You don't do those at the same time. You have to keep them separate. You will not be able to tell the difference, which is why when I do samples, I do one at a time. Because they look identical. And for those that's gotten them in the mail, you're probably like, wow, these look identical. I can't tell the difference. Well, the little sticker I put on the back with the QR code has below it what salve it is. Because I know how picky and tricky those things can be. You cannot tell the difference. They all look the same. The only difference is the herbs that are infused in the oil. So calendula, yarrow, and dandelion are all first aid herbs. They've been used for centuries. And so many people have not realized how many benefits there are with herbs versus using medicine. Dandelion helps fight cancer, which is why I specifically have dandelion tea, because drinking the tea helps kill the cancer, helps get it out of your system. You're detoxifying your body, you're getting it gone. And doctors don't like to prescribe herbs because it ruins their reputation and it takes away their medical degree that they went to school for, and it takes money out of their pockets. Heck, if you actually look up, I cannot remember the actual medical facility, but Roundup is connected to medical facilities. So they want people to spray Roundup around their house so it kills people faster. And somebody I knew somebody that had Roundup in their garage, and it actually caused them to have cancer, and they sued them, and they won because it caused the cancer that they have. So yeah, people don't care about our health here in America, and I don't know around the world, but here in America people tend to not really care about what's in our food, where it's all coming from. And growing up with a gluten-free mother that was very strict about what I was allowed to eat as a kid, and I will tell you one thing, I tried a lot of shitty food. When I got old enough to buy my own food and moved out, it was like, oh my gosh, the world changed. But realizing now that I was actually blessed with learning about certain things from that age, of what they're putting in our food, what they're doing, what they're saying, is nuts. And that's why I'm so conscious about what I'm putting in my products and what people are using it for. So when I get messages that people eat it, I know for first off, they're safe. They're not going to get hurt. Secondly, I inform them it's not food. It's possible. I don't have a lot of things that are to be ingested. I do make wines. I do make jellies, and those are to be ingested when I have my shows. I purposely have them all on a different table, so hopefully people don't accidentally go from one and to the other, because I've literally seen people at my booths that I've only had one table, and they'll come over here, try the crackers and the jellies. They'll grab a cracker, go over to my salve, pull it out, put it on the cracker, and put it in their mouth. I'm like, that's disgusting. And I have to walk over to them and be like, that's not supposed to be eaten. So I've learned that labeling things not to eat is important, but it's also not going to hurt you and it's safe. So the reason why I like them all mixed, and why I'm actually going to be making a tallow one here this year, is because in reality, if you want best of both worlds, it's best to get as many herbs in a salve as possible. But you also have to watch it because some herbs do not like to be mixed with other herbs and can cause reactions. So, as a herbalist, I can tell you it's very important to know your herbs and if they're safe to be mixed, if they're not safe to be mixed, and what they're okay with being mixed in, because you have a lot of things that you have to be precautionary of, especially dandelion. Dandelion has latex in it. If you are allergic to latex, stay away from dandelion. That is the best advice that I can give you. And I've had customers walk by and go, oh no, I'm allergic to dandelion. And I don't dig into why. Some people just say it so they don't get stopped, which I get. And I have a cousin that's massively allergic to herbs. And being allergic to herbs, I don't think I'd want to be allergic to herbs because walking outside, you have no idea if there's something in the wind and it's just going to make you go bonkers. It's kind of a scary thought. So, to each person their own, but they always have warning labels with every herb individually of if it's safe to be mixed, if it's not safe to be mixed, if you're allergic. Do your homework, and on top of it, I legally have to tell you I'm not a doctor. If you have a question or you're wondering if this would be beneficial, go see your doctor and ask them. A lot of doctors will not recommend herbal remedies. I personally have a doctor that will not recommend that. She tried shoving me on birth control for years. And I still will not. And I have gained enough knowledge that I can explain that to her and tell her to go fly a kite. And say, hey, I have anxiety, hey, I have depression, I know I've been diagnosed and I'm supposed to be on medications for this. I don't believe I'm being put on medications for it. I believe there's herbs out there to help you with it, and I make it at home. I may not sell them, and I may not talk about them, but it's something I make myself here at home, and I use it. I've made my own raspberry tinctures. I've made my own steamed nettle tinctures, and I go to the store and I buy the vodka, and that's just what I do. Okay, I'm gonna get that all messy, and I don't want to do that. So there are a lot of things that you can make at home if you just look in and study it enough, which is why I have my magic book selections of the herbs that I'm dealing with today. Dandelion Yarrow Calendula, I have books individually on them, and I do have tincture remedies in there, homemade deodorant recipes, soap recipes, etc. It covers a lot, and I don't even make most of the stuff in my books, but that's also because I base a lot of things off of what I need. I look for what I need, and I try to make the things that I know people would benefit from. So I make lots of wines, and I get asked all the time, if you're picking all these herbs, why don't you sell the teas? Why don't you sell the wines? Well, in order for me to legally sell wine, I only ask for a donation, because it is illegal to sell wine out of your house, not have a location, not have a license. You need a license to make it, you need a license to sell it, and you have to have a license for every location you go to. That is something I don't even have a budget, not even going to attempt it. So that's why all my wines are as a donation. But my wines are something that I've created since I started my company. Dandelion wine was the very first one. And 2 years ago, I discovered yarrow is very good for menstruational cramps. See, I can't even speak today. Menstrual cramps, there we go. And I tried the tea. I hated it. It tasted disgusting. I'm a sweet tea drinker, not a bitter, and my husband is a bitter. And I am slowly reverting to getting away from sweeteners because they're very bad for you. Go away. I'm trying to read the comments. Okay. So going ahead and having that tea, I was like, you know, I can do something better with that. I make wines. Why don't we make a wine out of it? So I did. I have yarrow wine. And does anybody buy it? Not very many. It's a peculiar taste. And the reason I made it, I tell all my customers this. If this is a wine you want to try, I highly recommend it for women, especially if you have menstrual issues. Because this is something you can drink. You can relax with it because it is alcohol. But you're also getting the benefits of helping with the menstruation cramps, helping with the ease, and you're also getting relaxed. So regardless of how disgusting it tastes, you're really going to get a good feel from it. So that's why I have that in my store. And once it's gone, it'll be gone because it's not been a big hit. Not many people know about it. But one that I will always have in my store is Dandelion wine because that is our signature for the Dandelion Company of Naturally Inspirational. We are the Dandelion. I'm the Dandelion crazy lady is what I tell everybody. You want something made with dandelion? I can do it. And I've even had people request Dandelion Yarrow mix. I sold out of that actually. And it has been some people's favorites. I literally sold one person 3 cases of it. And that was all I had done. Get out! I know you like it, but I'm not alive. I don't think anybody wants to hear squeaking. Oh, I can hear it on my phone. So with that, okay, Tammy, I see you have a comment. I understand you're not a doctor. What would you recommend for kidney disease? I love teas, and I've gotten hibiscus tea, but I know nothing about herbs. It's okay if you don't answer. Alrighty, so I actually had a friend at work have kidney stones, and passing those are not fun. I've had 2 friends actually have to pass them, and there are certain herbs. I do not know them off the top of my head. If you message me later, Tammy, I can look into it a little bit for you. Because I know what will help with passing stones. I just have to go look back in my book. But I have like 5 books in my bedroom that I can quickly go look up a disease and see what the symptoms are, what herbs were best for it back in the older days and such. As far as kidney disease, I don't really have an answer for that on this live, as kidneys are definitely different than the liver, but they still are a flushing organ, and it is one that you don't want to mess around with because having 1 kidney versus 2 can be a little bit more difficult depending on each person's body and etc. There are herbal remedies, so if you send me a personal message with that question, I will gladly look it up later and I can give you an answer. But there are things that you can try herbally for it, 100%. I just don't have anything in my store directed toward it. I would definitely say hibiscus tea. I think you're going on the right route. For tea wise, but I know there's another tea out there that you would benefit from, and I can't think of it off the top of my head at the moment. Oopsies, I don't want you all sticky. I know, it's so fun watching me do this over and over and over again, isn't it? I promise, I'm going to get to the jars here pretty soon. Because I'm pretty sure they're warmed up now. And if you ask really nicely, I might even pull the phone down. Sounds good, Tammy. So if you guys want to see me a little bit closer filled jars, let me know so I can prepare to move my phone. But if not, I'm just going to leave it up there because I'm going to fill them right here. And that's something I do not hesitate and wait on. That is something I do fast. I get it done and over with because those jars heat up fast. And once they're too hot, I can't hold them and put the lids on. Which is why when I do tins, I pour them into the tins because the tins get hot instantly. There's a reason and a purpose. I have a method to my madness. So I do have one question that I've constantly had when I make salve samples is, why don't you put a lot more in there than just a little bit? And so when I put this amount in a baggie, that's a one-time use. So I try to make it so once you open it, you're going to use it right then and there. You're not going to have enough to last a week or a month. These are very small. And Sometimes there's just enough, and other times there's a little bit more than others. My brother has seen my samples, and he goes, Sarah, you need to put more in there. And I'm like, you don't realize it, Lane. These samples go a long ways. I've had customers come up and have to ask me for paper towels at my booth because I tried it, they grabbed too much, and they have enough for 5 people to rub it on their hands. So I have to be conscious of how much they use, and all that, and go from there. I missed my basket. I don't purposely make it to where there's not enough in there to try. I try to make it so you have enough to try it on an area, but not enough to be like, oh my gosh, there's too much here, I don't know what to do with it, and you end up rubbing it on your clothes or something. Which is why, if somebody needs more than one sample, they can go and put it in the form and I can address it. Because that is something I prefer to do. I like to work with my people. I even had a church reach out to me this last week. And I emailed them back, but that's all I got. But they wanted to try it for each one of their members, and I'm game. I love that. I think everybody should try this. That's why I offer bulk orders. That's why I have samples on my website. I even have people order and request salve samples in their orders, and I automatically fulfill them. I don't even question them. I don't call them. I just put it right in and send it, because I know if they're making a purchase, they're wanting the samples because they want to give it to somebody. So I try to do the best that I can, and the only samples on my website are the dandelion samples of the beef tallow and the beeswax. Because the other ones, that, like the one I'm doing right now, this is not a normal one that I have. This is a specialty that I'm doing. And this one's going to be a bigger size. So yeah, making samples are time consuming. It's not something you do and you're like, oh cool, we're done with this, move on. Typically I sit down, turn on a movie, still working, turn on another movie. Because it's a time process. And if I'm not in the mood to talk, I typically don't get live and do it. I might record myself silently, but it's one of the things, I don't mind sitting down and doing this myself because it keeps my mind busy, my hands happy, and it also helps other people. So I like to keep myself busy, but not to the point where it's like I'm sitting in front of a video game all day, not doing anything to help anybody or change the world. I like to be feeling like I'm helping the environment. My time is wisely spent, is how I put it. If anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome to leave a comment below, and I can answer any questions if it's something on our website, on our Facebook page, TikTok, etc. I love answering questions anytime. Wanting to get this pile of bags done, and then I'm going to get the jars out because I know how boring this is to watch me do. But I'm here if anybody has questions, I promise. And here and probably another 10 bags will be on the jars. You're walking over here, I see you.
Get back here. Lay down. There, what? Lay down.
Okay, we're getting closer and closer each one we do to the jars. Jesus. Just dumped my whole hand in there. Well, more less my finger. I think I'd rather stay with my cooling session versus doing these hot. Which I think is what we're going to end up doing, because this is time consuming of me standing here with a hot pot. I wouldn't recommend doing this while you're tired. Because on top of it, if my finger that I'm holding the baggie with gets salve on it, I have to go wash my hands because I won't be able to grip these baggies to open them, which makes it a pain in the butt to make samples. Because once your hands get slippery, you can't open them. And I got a lot more samples to go, and I'm not going to do it all on live tonight. Because you guys would get pretty bored with it. I did envelopes last night, go live with them. I finished those this morning. I took a video, shared that on the story so you guys could see that. And now we're doing some salves. I'm finding this very interesting. Well, Tammy, it is interesting. I like trying weird tactics to do things I love. Okay, I got one baggie left. I didn't need that much. I can almost guarantee you that syringe is going to get the salve hardened in it, and then it's not going to want to function. But it's beeswax and shea butter, so I'm sure it'd be easy to take apart and clean. Just okay, that's off. That's not as hot. That's bouncy. I think that's the way that is. Maybe one day I'll incorporate into purchasing something for. Okay, you don't want to stay there. Fine. Show the box. I don't do much with my hair, so I don't have the fancy things for the hot ends and such. Okay, we're gonna move on to jars. Okay. And the furnace just turned back on. It's like magic. Okay, this one I'm missing jar lids. So we're gonna put you over there. Okay. Does anybody want me to move the phone down to where I'm actually at, to where you can see what I'm doing? Because if so, I can try. If not, I'm just going to keep rocking and rolling. I do want a chair because I've been standing this whole time. If you want me to move the phone, just put a comment in and I'll move it. So this is Dandelion Yarrow Calendula. I do not have any labels on my jars, no stickers, it's just the jar. They are still a little bit cold from my garage, but the salve's cooled down enough in this pot that they're almost instantly getting hard. Whew, bubbles. Drop the lid. Why did I move that plate? I need that plate. Yeah, you're making a pile. This this setup that you have something to catch the drips. Okay, I'm just gonna move the phone because I feel like you guys really can't see at all what I'm doing. So, can I unsuction it or not? Apparently not. Okay. We'll get there. Just bear with me. Can you see the spout? There we go. Spout, plate, voila. Okay. Guess I can turn it so you guys can kind of see me because you don't need to be looking at an empty pot. Which side's full? That side's full. Yeah. Okay. So I just fill them up to the brim and then I put the cap on. My kids have always found it interesting to watch me do this because it's kind of fun. And I put them back in the box, wait for them to harden, and then I put the labels on. So again, this is Dandelion Yarrow Calendula salve. I know I'm almost out of stock on Amazon, so I'm making sure to get a box ready to ship out to Amazon so all of you can order on Amazon. Or you can order on my website and I will be hand shipping them out myself. There's so many people nowadays you can't trust with their companies of, oh, if I purchase this, is it actually going to show up or is it a scam? I've purchased stamps actually off the whole website this year and it ended up being a scam. I'm like, darn me. I hate that. Which is why when I do lives, I try to make it as interesting as possible to watch me do what I do. And yes, I purchased all of my jars and my tins off of Amazon. I believe I have all of them in my link tree if you wanted to get the exact ones I have. But I will tell you this. These lids are not leak proof. Don't buy these for leak proof. Don't rely on them for leak proof. And I say that from a personal perspective because of how much I've traveled and used these to where the only jar that I trust not to leak is my 4 ounces because they're jelly jars, they're 100% seal proof. There are seals in this lid, like a jelly jar. I don't know what they do in China to these jars, but I've had some seal and I've had others not seal at all. Just gonna continue filling that other box. My goal is to fill this one, that one, and see what the amount I have left because I need a box for me here and each box holds 24 jars. So that's actually quite a lot of amount of jars that I'm going to be filling because every jar is 2 ounces. And once I have those filled, I will evaluate if I want to fill a few more jars or not and go from there for my samples. Because worst goes to worst, I'll just make another batch up if I have to be, which may or may not be what I end up doing, but it is what it is. I got a little pile going up there. Sometimes I'll put a little jar below to catch them every single time, but I've never had a jar get full from it. And honestly, I'm quite impatient. I like to go and go and go, and if you do this without having something to catch the beeswax and the salves and on the floor, you will end up with a very slippery floor. I have fallen. I've also dumped a whole hot jar of salve on me. That hurt, went all the way down my leg to the floor, and then I fell on my butt. Not a fun scenario. So this is something you don't want to just do on the floor and let it drip on the floor because it will become a tripping hazard. Slip hazard. So these are the 2 ounces of Dandelion Yarrow Calendula salves that we're making up. I'll be putting a label up here and down here. Well, thanks for watching, Jennifer. So a lot of people are like, oh golly gee, you have a lot of salves. You must bulk buy. I bulk buy inventory to make it. I make all of this. I don't go to another company, purchase, relabel it as my own, because I want to know what's in it, where it's come from, the ingredients in it, how long has it been on the shelf, etc. I want to know everything about it. So when a customer calls me and asks me a question about it, has a complaint, I have an answer. Because I know when it was made, where it was made, and how it was done. I am very particular, and I have documents that I fill out and everything for every batch, so I know what was in it, when it was made, etc. Which is why we also put on the exact date they're made on the side of the jar, so I can track everything. If that makes any sense. Because I know some people see the dates on the jar and they go, oh my gosh, it's expired. No, that is not an expiration date. That is the date it was made. I purposely put it on there the date it was made because some salves will last longer than their actual expiration date, so that's why I do that. I've not had a salve go bad. As long as you're using 100% organic ingredients, that is. My nose itches. Okay, that box is full, so we'll start filling this one in. So I already got 24 jars done. I did that backwards. I'm a lefty to hold and a righty to twist. But I've tried doing this with my kids, and that can turn into a nightmare. But my 5-year-old, she's done this filling the jars, and she absolutely loves helping me. So she's probably not going to be thrilled that I didn't share, but I can make stuff anytime if she really wanted. And honestly, I do not like making my kids work. I want them to be kids and enjoy life. I worked my whole entire childhood, so I'm very aware of people working their kids for their own benefit, and that is not at all what my company is about. I know there's kids out there that want to learn and grow, and I got nephews and nieces that want to learn how to run their own company and such, which is why we have our affiliate program. If you were locally, we also will work with students that want to do their own booths and such. So you're never alone in my company. I like to be able to help those in need that want to learn and grow. We like to connect with the younger generation, answer questions and such. I have to get scissors. There we go. Never cut toward yourself. Always use sharp objects correctly. There we go. My pot is about here, as in the bottom is where the spigot is. Turn it over a little bit. So right now, this is the top of the pot. We're about halfway, I'd say. Because this whole thing is leaning toward me. Because the plastic tub it's on has handles. From the dollar store, of course. So I will fill one up, and I can leave it sit out so you guys can kind of watch it harden while I'm doing this. Because that's kind of the magic, to where it's like, oh wow, it's yellow salve, that's pretty cool. But are you actually getting to see it change color? Where can I set this so you guys can see it? Can you see it there? No. I don't want to just set it on the plate because then it's going to get all ugly. Okay. Hope you guys can... Don't make it there. There. I'm very particular to be able to see everything. So they come out white liquidy, and then they start to harden and actually getting that salve look to them, the feel. If You can see the pile that's been piling up on my plate from drips. It hardens pretty fast. So you can kind of still see the difference happening from fresh to what's cooling down already. And also, a fun fact, if you're wanting to make your own salves at home and you're worried about the consistency of how much beeswax to use to give it that hardness to it, you can add a little bit each time, let it melt in, take a spoon from your drawer, put it in the freezer, take that spoon from the freezer, put a little bit on the bottom of it, and it will instantly harden up. If it hardens up to a consistency you like, then you're good. If it's too liquefied still, add more beeswax and do the process again. And you just figure it out until you're like, okay, I needed to add in about this much, so then you can change your recipe for the next time. Because everybody likes consistency of salves differently based on where they live. So here in Michigan, I don't have to worry about it being too hard. I like it to be a little bit on the softer side so it's easy to get out, work with. But like if you're in the Bahamas, Florida, Hawaii, you're obviously going to be dealing with hotter temperatures. So you have to be aware of the temperatures of your surrounding areas, and if you're making it yourself, you might want to add in more beeswax so it stays harder in those hotter temperatures. Tammy, have you thought about putting a jar under the dripper to catch the salve? Yes, I have. And I didn't do it this time, and I'm already started, so I'm not even going to attempt it. But usually I grab a 4-ounce jar. In my aunt's basement is usually where I've done all this, and I have a jar actually specifically set next to my wax melters that I actually pull out and I put it under every single spigot that I work with. Why am I picking you up? So typically that is what I do, but I've never had it to where it is filled up that jar entirely. So, and if you're thinking that salve's gonna go to waste, it's not. I'm gonna just scrape it off of it and put it in my jar, because that's what I do. It's good, hearty, and this plate was clean, so. And at least it makes it so my table is not covered in salve and it's running all over the place. Because salve can get so hot to the point where it can melt things that it touches, and that's the last thing you want to do. Woo! Full. Okay, that box is done. So if you're wondering kind of what my method is after I do this, I can kind of give you a lowdown. So if I'm keeping it here in shop, which is what I do with all of my salves no matter where it's going, I go ahead and jar them up. I let them cool down. They get hard. So no matter what I do, if I pick it up, move it, they stay in the jars where they've been at level because I want them to harden so they're not stuck to the lid or something. I want them to look pretty. So we have a sticker that goes on the bottom, which is a QR code. And then we have a sticker that goes on top, which tells you which salve it is. And typically I label them almost instantly right away because the lids don't get hot. I can put stickers right on. Boom, boom, boom. So I get that taken care of. So you already have 2 labels on there. What it is, and a QR code on the bottom for our website. So then we have a sticker go on the side of the jars, and it doesn't matter what side of the jar. I put a date on it. Those dates are the date that I made it. It is not an expiration date. It's so I know what batch it was the day I made it. So I can look back and see through my documents of, oh, I made it on this day, this is what I used, da 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 da. But that's the only stickers that go on it is the label, QR code, and that date. That is not an expiration date. I have people all the time ask me, this is the expiration date. You're selling me expired stuff. No, I'm not. I promise. I'm not. So with that, after everything's labeled, cooled off, settled, I actually shrink wrap them all. Woof! Because shrink wrapping goes ahead and ensures that the lids stay on. They make sure that customers don't tamper with it. If I had them out at a show, they can't come up, open a jar, and then put the lid back on. I've had that multiple times, and I don't appreciate that. If I already have jars open for you to try, please don't open up product that I have out. So instead of me telling customers that every single time, I took it a step farther, and I shrink wrap every single one with a plastic. I know it's plastic, and it's not environmental friendly, but it's a way that I can ensure that people aren't opening these and tampering with them, especially since I ship them to Amazon warehouses. So with that, I shrink wrap them. They're sealed completely in there. And then for me, they go right in my inventory, right on the shelf. They're ready to go. I don't put prices on them or anything because I have them all memorized and such. So that is the method of which I take. This box is done. So from there, if I am keeping it in inventory, once I shrink wrap it, it's done, it's on my shelf, it's ready to go to the customer because I will put it in a bubble wrapper and mail it to you. But if I'm going to Amazon, I do another step that Amazon requests and that I have to do to ensure my jars don't break. So I have a bubble wrapper that has a sticky side to it. So I put each jar individually in a bubble wrapper and seal it. And then Amazon has a requestment of their labels that have to be on them. So after I put this bubble wrap on, I have to put their sticker on it. And once I have that done, then they're finally to be able to be counted, boxed, and shipped. And then it won't get into their inventory for probably about a month because they're so slow. But once it's in transit, I can see it getting there, and the listing will eventually change depending on which warehouse it goes to because I have shipped all over the US. Amazon just requests randomly all over the place. So that's the way Amazon works and such, but I have inventory here that I work with hands-on, and I also have Amazon work with what Amazon has. If people have an issue with the Amazon item being shipped to you, you have to work with Amazon in order to deal with the discrepancy that happened, if it broke or if it got lost. I have had a few people order the jars and the jars busted out on shipping, so they never received the jar. I've even gotten returns where the jar is missing. So I understand that frustration and needing to be able to know where it's coming from, being able to find it, being able to use it, not being broken, etc. So that's why we try to shrink wrap them to keep them together. We put them in a bubble wrapper to keep them safer in shipping. And on top of it, Amazon puts them in another folder, so when they ship, they got that extra padding to go along with it to keep them from breaking. Because I know shipping glass is not easy, and I really like to have a reliable product. I have had customers reach out to me, be like, I just purchased this on Amazon and I have an issue. I have to direct them straight to Amazon before I can help them. If Amazon refuses to help you, absolutely, I will be here to help you and support you in whatever you need to ensure you're happy. But Amazon has to do their protocol first. And then if Amazon fails to do whatever you're asking, then I will step in. If I have to manually ship you something, Amazon does not give me your information. So I don't know your address, I don't know your name, I don't know any of your contact information. I just know that somebody purchased it and they shipped it. That's it. Amazon does not communicate anything else. So if you want to support my business, if you are purchasing on my website, I get to know your name, where it's going, if I need to contact you, and I'm able to keep that information. I do not sell your information, I do not give it away. It is on my website for my business only to use. I do not give away any of that. And I'm able to track your package, know what's happening with your package. If you have an issue, like these samples that I've been mailing out, some people are getting them squished in the mail. I will resend you samples. It is not your fault that they were squished in the mail. It's not my fault they were squished in the mail. I am trying my best to make sure that these samples are not getting squished. And it has become tricky to go ahead and deal with because I'm already putting them non-machinable and some of them are still going through machines, which mind boggles me. And I'm pretty sure at some point I can go up to the UPS office and be like, you guys owe me some stamps because you're machine processing these and I pay you to not process them. But that is a debacle for a whole nother day. But I'm happy to work with my customers and clients that I can work with them. I believe in whatever happens at my table happens at yours, and I like to be upfront, honest, and if I have an issue, I will let you know. If there's no issues, I am happy to go ahead and make my customers satisfied. So, now, I guess I have to look at my pot and see if I have sample making for another jar. We're gonna qualify that all for samples, I think. I have a hunch. So I'm gonna grab another box because I'm being a weirdo about it. I want another box. So we're gonna grab another box. And if I have to make another batch, I will make another batch. But we're not making any more samples tonight on live. So you're good on that. We're just making jars. And then this will sit here tonight, get hard, and then tomorrow I will work on labeling it. For now, I have all of my sample envelopes made out to be able to put samples in and addresses on. So I'm good on that for now. That project's done. But since I'm behind on some salves, I gotta make up the inventory. You're a little dusty. Why are you so dusty? For dusty wise, that's what I mean by dusty. You can see my fingerprint. Usually it doesn't come out dusty. But Amazon stores things in some of the most baddest warehouses, so you can't guarantee everything. And these are ice cold, so this may be interesting. Let's warm it up a little bit. Please don't crack in my hand, because that would really hurt. Okay, I think we're good. I've not had a jar crack in my hands or anything yet, with the temperatures being cold, so I'm lucky. I try to warm them up as best I can before I put them in, so it's not an entire environmental shock. There we go. And I think I got the temperature down enough to where it's not a ginormous shock. But you can tell it's hardening it already because of how cold the jar is. Getting that white filmish look to it. Yeah. To where. Yeah, that one's still liquefying, but it's warm. These are very, very cold in my hands, so I'm not wanting to hold on to them very long because usually they're like, oh, they're nice and warm. I'm not waiting for it to get warm. They're freezing. My garage is like 20 degrees. So, cold, 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 cold. I swear that cap did not go on straight. So we do this every single time we make a batch of sitting here filling the jars. I do this with every single salve, and I have hands on, looking at it, watching them harden and such. My bowl! Darn it! Drop the lid. Have any questions? I know you just love it when I put you on the spot. Is my pot almost empty?
Not yet.
Good, I was hoping I'd have enough samples after this. I figured ship 2 cases to Amazon, have a case and a little extra here for me for shipments, because this seems to be the hot tamale. And trust me, he's so thrilled because he's going to be helping me shrink wrap. That's something I won't do live because my heat gun is so loud, it's like a hairdryer. have to do an inventory of all of the salves, it is a long day's work. It's at least a 3-day process of making all the salves, keeping them separate, labeling them all. Then we have to go through and shrink wrap them all. It becomes a headache, but it is so worth it. And I've always been told, be something you love and you'll never get tired of it. And this is something I love. I love making it. I love sealing it. I love shipping it to my customers. So it's like, why not? It's a no-brainer for me. And voila. Okay, that's the last jar. So, you can see it's whitening, which means it's cold. It's hardening. Like, even this jar is just barely warm. Like, barely. It's not freezing cold, though. So if I put them next to each other, you can kind of see one's a whitish and one's not. So it kind of depends on how they cool down and all that. And when you put them in the box, it takes them a little longer to cool down, but I like to keep them in the box so I don't accidentally drop them or something. So that finishes up that. I now have to find a jar. Oh, I got a pretty good amount in there for samples. What do I want to put this in? Because all that's going to be for samples. It doesn't have to be a jar. It just has to be something glass. So I'll come over to my pantry and see what I got. If I have anything glass that I can use. I have a lot of plastic in my house. But that's also because I have kids that drop everything. That's plastic, not what I'm looking for. Aha! Found it! Okay, don't break them while you're breaking them. So I'm going to use this glass bowl. I'm just going to open up full. Watch this not be big enough. That's usually my failure, is something's not big enough. Will fit. You will fit. Just don't overflow, please. Okay, I'm going to turn the heat up, because once you turn the heat up, it forces the oils down, so I'm going to let that drip, because it's already forcing this way. I'm not planning to put this lid on right away, so take that away, put my bowls back while that's heating up. And that's why I did a 4 batch, because in this chair, you can just carry the seat over here. We have this box, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 jars in, and then we have 3 boxes full. So I would have had enough salve in that pot to fill this box, and that would have been it. I have it mapped out to where it's literally 24 jars a batch, and I did 4 batches in one. So with that, that is the rest of the box sitting right there. And we're going to be making salve samples out of that later, but I'm going to wait for that to harden before I start putting them in the baggies. And I'm going to sit in front of my TV tonight and have fun with it. Because that's what I do for fun. I don't go party, I don't go do stuff. I sit home and I make samples and products and I enjoy it. It's always kind of cool watching this harden though, because the outside is hardening, but the inside's still liquefied. Okay, so the heat has picked up. Let's make sure this is drained all the way. Okay, that is done. Let's turn that off, turn the heat off, because this whole thing is steaming and you can burn olive oil, beeswax, and everything in there. So your pot, you have to be very conscious of how you're using it and the way that you're using it and what you have in it, because you can burn the stuff in there. It's just like cooking, except this is not edible. So I do not use a lid when I'm making my salves, but it does come with a lid with a hole. So you can see the little teeny tiny hole there. I don't know, maybe against the black shirt. But there is a hole in the glass right here. They do, right there. And if I'm doing a A big batch, I will leave the pot top on so it heats up faster and I can put the stick through there and mix it without having to actually open it and contaminate anything. And typically I keep the cap on if you have pets in the house because it helps keep the dog hair out. So with that will consume our live that we did today. This is now all done and it's got to cool down. It is slowly cooling down. And yeah, we'll be making samples from this. If anybody has any questions, they can leave a comment below. I'm happy to go ahead and answer questions. Tammy, I will be getting with you later and going from there. So, we have successfully made Dandelion Yarrow Calendula salve. Beeswax, infused olive oil, shea butter, lavender, and spearmint. And it smells just right because it's a little bit of everything. So, hope everybody has a blessed night and thank you for watching and pitching in today. And we hope to see you on our next live. Bye!